Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the It's Pizza Time podcast. I am your host, Indigo, and today I am joined by my co-host, Victor.
It's good, guys.
My co-host, John, is finally here when we're starting. And our special guest, ATLAST.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so just go ahead quickly and introduce yourself for everybody who doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, I go by ATLAST. My real name's Noah. I've been making music under the ATLAST project for the past 4 years, and I guess what I'm known for is like mid-tempo, kind of bass music stuff. And yeah, very stoked to be here.
Nice. All right. I'm going to start with the typical precursor question that I
Yeah.
ask everybody. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Dude, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. It's pretty boring, but I love like a straight margarita pizza is so good. Like straight, like just easy. Just like
There's nothing wrong with the straight, like, simple. Like,
it's so good.
It is, of
Dude.
course.
I went to Italy a couple years ago, and like I remember we first got there, and they were like, my dad was expecting like some extravagant pizza or whatever, and they were like, they just brought out a margarita pizza, but it was like the best thing ever. So yeah, I have to go
Yeah.
with that.
I mean, Italians don't fuck around with, like, their pizza, so
They really don't. They really don't. They got it down on lockdown, you know?
I mean, I kind of expect that from, like, the country that invents it, but it's still, like, shocking when you go, like, have it for, like, the first time. It's just like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah, it's because, I mean, everywhere else is just trying to recreate it, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't
It's
recreate
weird,
the
like
vibe.
it's weird. Like I heard this thing the other day where it's like in China, Chinese food isn't Chinese food. It's just like food.
Of course,
And like
yeah.
and in Italy, it's like it's not Italian food. It's just food, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah,
and
it's
here
like
and here everybody just replicates everything.
of course, yeah.
yeah, there's not I don't think America has, like, a single food that is, like, traditionally American.
Like
I
a
guess
Fried
burger?
chicken.
maybe, like, Southern stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause but, like, other than that, I don't know if there's, like, anything that's, like, straight up only
Right.
American.
Jambalaya or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I mean, even the British people have, like, their own specific, like, food stuffs, even though it's not always great, but they
Yep.
still have, like, their own original stuff.
Yeah,
Vegemite.
Like, I
it's
mean, they
just
got mashed peas.
America just be replicating everything and making it better and worse at the
Yeah, I
same
was gonna
time.
say, like,
Yeah.
we definitely do make some things better, but I feel like a lot of places try to replicate stuff and cut costs, right? So, like, the
Yeah.
quality is just not as
Oh,
good.
yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I don't know, like Chipotle is so good for like Mexican food, but it's like I don't know, it's not like Mexican food.
Oh, of
Like
course, yeah.
it's American Mexican food, so it's like it's more just like plain and like it's good and it gets the job done. But like when you go to an actual Mexican restaurant, you're like, oh, like
Right,
it's
it's
so
completely
good.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Chipotle is kind of what the American expectation of Mexican food is. Like, for
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
who's never had Mexican food, that's, like, what
Right.
they'd expect it to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of my buddies from Canada, he had never had Chipotle before or In-N-Out. And so when he came out to LA, we're like, yo, we gotta go to Chipotle, gotta go to In-N-Out. And he was like, dude, Chipotle wasn't that good. Like I was expecting like, really good Mexican food. I'm like, that's not what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like it's just simple.
Yeah, it's like
But
formalized, it's like franchised, it's like whenever you go to a Chipotle, it doesn't matter where you are, you always expect the same thing.
yeah, exactly. You're not like I know what I get, I know how it tastes.
I
Exactly.
know exactly what I get. It's just like Subway and all those other places, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that many people, like, see, like, Chipotle as kind of, like, the very standard, like, kind of bottom, like, of the barrel Mexican food, but, like, I've never actually been to it, like a Taco Bell or anything like that, but I have no
Right.
idea what that's like compared to,
right.
because that's, like, fast food Mexican food. I don't even know what that would be like.
I had such a bad experience with Taco Bell. I
I
don't
feel like
know.
I
everybody
think
who's had
everybody
Taco
has,
Bell
yeah.
has had a bad
It was
experience with Taco Bell.
oh man. I don't know. Like I have a bunch of friends that like live by it and like Taco Bell's the shit. Like it's so good. And I'm like, I've had 2 bad experiences or like 1 really bad experience with it, and I don't know. I'd rather pay $3 more than go to Chipotle.
Right,
Like,
right. And know that you're gonna get something like at
yeah,
least
and know that I'm
somewhat
not gonna be
quality.
screwed over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
definitely. All right. I guess let's stray a little bit away from, Taco Bell and Chipotle and stuff like that. And let's I'm gonna ask, so what was it initially that like got you into your start with like music? Rather,
Um, like just music in general, or like production.
I'd say like in general, because that's like
Um,
always a little bit different.
yeah, I guess like going way back. Well, my dad's a guitar player, and he was in like a couple rock bands that like did semi well, like toured a little bit, back in the '80s, and so you know, growing up, he was always playing the guitar and like trying to get me to play the guitar, and I really didn't want to play the guitar. Now I wish I played the guitar.
Right.
Because like I would be able to write songs so much quicker. But uh, every time that I went to the guitar, like he made me get into guitar lessons, and of course he didn't teach me because he's like he didn't want to teach me. He wanted somebody else to teach me. So every time I went to the rental place or the like the guitar store, they had like that's where I got my lessons, and there was a drum set, like electronic drum set, right at the front door of the place. I was always so drawn to it because I was like, wow, like I always seen people play on it and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's super cool. So then like over time, I started like kind of transitioning from playing guitar to playing the drums, and yeah, that changed everything. I was like 6 when that was, I think 6 or 7. So since then, just been a drummer. And then got to like end of middle school and high school, and beginning of high school, and was really kind of getting stuck in like the. I was in a lot of bands, and it's kind of like the same story, like a lot of people. But I was in a lot of bands, and I, as the drummer, I always got told like I always try to give input for like the singer, the guitar player, the bass player, whatever. Like, oh, you should try this, and they're just like, no, you should stick to the drumming because you're just a drummer. Like, don't talk,
It's
don't talk.
fucked
You're
up.
just
Yeah.
yeah, it's screwed up. And I like after like 4 different bands, and like we did pretty well. Like we won Battle of the Bands for the Northern California, and like things were moving, but I was like so just like every single time that would be said, it was like kind of like it was like I wasn't expecting to write all the music. I wanted to have some input. And it finally got to the point where I was just like, I can't be like told this over and over and over.
Yeah.
So then I got to the point where like, I think I saw it was some YouTube video um of like recording or whatever. So I got into recording and started recording all the bands at school. Instead of being in the bands, I would just record other bands and they'd pay me and I would make money from it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm making money from like doing something I really like. And I think over time with that, I was like, I'd get to a point where, all right, I'm recording now. How do I produce all this, instead of like just recording somebody else's music? How do I like make the sounds myself and like be the one man band? Um, and yeah, I mean, over like high school, I'd say sophomore to senior year, it was just like, all right, like I need to dig in and figure out how people do this. And it was like Skrillex was the first one that was like, wow, like how does he get these sounds? And like I need to figure out how to get those sounds.
Right.
I feel
Um,
like Skrillex is like a first for a lot of people.
Oh
He
yeah,
has
yeah,
for
like
sure.
he's
yeah. I
definitely
mean,
like the most eye-opening like producer from like I guess the early 2010s.
yeah. I think the difference with him was it was so polished at the time that like you could release that the Scary Monsters and Ice Sprites EP. You could release that now, and it would still I think make as big as of a wave as it did back then because
Right.
it sounded so sonically like clean and like ready, whereas a lot of dubstep at the time was very just kind of raw and didn't really
Yeah.
sound like it was meant to be yet. But Skrillex like actually like put a stamp on it and was like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, this is what like it can grow to. I think he had the more like big aspirations with the rap, kind of just
Right.
like, you know
Totally.
I'm a DJ at a club.
Yeah, I was gonna say that a lot of people used to hate on him back in the day, but I feel like a lot more people are giving him props for inspiring. So I think it's
Yeah,
really
I mean,
cool.
where would we be? I have no idea. I get
Right.
that question asked so much, like where would you be without like your biggest inspiration? I'm like, well, my biggest inspiration is Skrillex, so I don't know where we'd be without Skrillex. Like to be totally honest with you, it'd be a different electronic music
We
world.
wouldn't have Jack U. We wouldn't have anything, you know?
No,
Oh yeah.
I
Like
don't know where dubstep would be. I don't,
yeah.
it might still be where it was. Like Skrillex pushed it where it was like now people were like, wow, I gotta have my sound design and my stuff as similar or not similar, but like clean and like as perfect as Skrillex did. And that's
Right.
what like, it's just like like anything. Like the more competition you have, the better it's gonna get over time.
Of course.
But yeah.
He also brought like his more like aggressive sound as well, because like dubstep back then was just kind of like wubs, like wub stuff.
Yeah, like the bass nectar kind of like more like
Yeah,
now Wook sound. It's like it's back then it was like, yeah, you're right. It was more just kind of like not
It wasn't chill,
not
but it was
chill.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
It wasn't
it
as
wasn't like
aggressive.
it wasn't
right.
like a neck breaking kind of,
yeah.
stuff like we have now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
which
it's
is
crazy.
yeah. I mean, he also kind of brought in this stigma where it's like, hey, electronic producers can also like regardless of your electronic genre, it's like they're actually musicians rather than just guys who like put sounds together or like hit buttons on a fucking on something. It's like cuz I mean, anytime like I would bring up like electronic music like to like my friends as a kid, well it's like uh well it's that's not hard. It's all you're doing is just putting a couple sounds together, right?
Nope.
And
Yeah. If it was only that easy.
Then everybody would be doing it. I mean,
Yeah,
people are doing it, but it's just like everyone would be famous, you know, or just like get
right.
notoriety
Yeah.
from it. So
definitely. It's like
Yeah,
there's
I
so
mean,
much more than just hitting buttons.
100%. I think you have to be I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of producers that aren't, instrument musicians before they came into the world of producing, which is totally cool. But I think like it almost like you almost kind of need some sort of that, you know?
right,
Yeah.
'Cause, like for me, it was like the way that I was able to express myself early on as a producer was like the rhythms, and I would do like crazy rhythms and stuff because I'm a drummer, so I could think about that kind of stuff. Like the reason why a lot of the other guys that play guitar are really big because their guitar riffs are great or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like there's so many people doing it right now, which is really cool. Um, but you can definitely like kind of pick people out
for
that are
sure.
like
Yeah.
that are
If
like
you have
going to be the
like
ones and kind of
yeah, if you have a background in music, you're definitely at like an advantage. It's
right.
totally like I mean, if you put in the effort, it's not really required. Like if you actually take the time to like, work on it, you'll probably get something, but it's like if you have that background, it's going to be so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say like I have an example like um this kid like two and a half almost 3 years ago hits me up in like the SoundCloud DM and I'm like, okay, I've never gotten a message through
Right.
SoundCloud. um and he's like, hey, like I just bought Ableton, like I'm like going down the rabbit hole, uh you know do you have any tips, and kind of like so I gave him some stuff, and like I was kind of like his like teacher for a while, mentor for a little bit. And now it's like he sent me something like a week or two ago, and it's like this. It's probably the quality of Subtronics, like that kind of crazy shit. And I'm like, and he had no musical background. Like he was just a fan. Like didn't like had nothing. Like he's never played an instrument in his life. He like he like never. It was the first time he ever had his own computer. Like all this stuff. And he's like 19, I think now. But he was like 16 back when I was talking with him. Um, but it's like crazy. It's like it's totally true. Like you can come from musical background and like that's great, but there's also people that don't come from it but just put in the time and the effort and like really dig into it and like put
Yeah.
their teeth into it, and they can come out with something really cool.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool like way that people who are always like interested in music but just had too much going on to learn something, this is a way
Right.
that they can finally kind of express what it is that they have in their mind.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think it's cool too because like for so long I think the music industry was based on like you have to be a musician to make it or like to be accepted. And now with the whole electronic sphere, I think it's very like if you're good at what you do, if you're good at what you do, you're gonna get accepted at some point. It's not just
yeah.
like you're immediately kind of discharged from everything, which is really cool. I think I mean I think it's the reason why collaboration is so big. Like, in back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it's like every band wanted to be the biggest. They didn't collaborate with other bands, they wanted to be the one, you know. And
Yeah.
now it's like it makes sense, It's like, all right, I have this crowd of people, you have this crowd of people. Let's put them together and
Right.
get something really cool out of it. Also get something really artistically cool out of it, but also just,
Oh, yeah.
do well,
It's like the whole thing with collabs, like, now is so much fun too, especially if, like, you're a fan of both people and you're
Right.
seeing them come together to make something, that you're probably gonna like. Like, there I mean, you could tell, like, in '80s music and just, like, back then, it was kind of unheard of for these big bands to collab. So I can only imagine like how some people would like be freaking out when they see like Under Pressure with like Queen and David Bowie. Like how like some people would be kind of freaking out now if they see like I mean Nightmare and Subtronics are doing something together. Kind of like it's definitely not on the same level, but it's kind of the same principle, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just like Diplo and Skrillex coming
Oh
together for
yeah,
Jack. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
you never would have expected that, but they came together and they produced one of the coolest albums of the 2010s.
for sure.
And they're probably like them and Swedish House Mafia are like and Daft Punk are like the three most hyped artists to come back. Like it's
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's genius. Yep, there you go. Exactly. Exactly. One
Yeah,
of the best albums ever. Yeah. Yeah. It's so
seriously.
good.
Yeah, that album definitely like also brought out the it brought out I guess the electronic community. It pushed it more into like the mainstream spotlight so that like more people that were outside of the community could see a little
Yeah,
bit
well,
into.
especially Where Are You Now? That was like
Oh
a
yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was that was a massive like everybody was like, "Oh, I don't like this song." But it was at the same time as like guys, like this is going to bring so much more like people to what we do.
right.
Like just watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it happen. And then it did. And it's like it's really cool. I mean, it's just like Marshmallow too. Like everybody can hate on him or whatever, but like the amount of like kids that he's brought to the EDM world, like early on, like my little brother's 14, but like 2 years ago when Marshmallow was really like big, like he's still really big, but like he was really in the spotlight. It's like he was 12 and he had like his all of his friends like knew every single Marshmallow song, and it's just weird, but it's really cool because you never would expected like
Oh
you know
yeah.
that to happen. It's just like
Yeah.
gaming. It's just like gaming. I think like 5 years ago, if you were a gamer, you were a nerd.
Oh no,
Now,
for
now,
Oh yeah.
sure.
now, if you're a gamer, you're like a popular like celebrity.
Some bullshit
It's
for real.
yeah, it's like
Oh
wow, cool.
Bro, I remember
But
like going to sleep at like 5 in the morning playing COD all night. You know, playing professional COD, like top
Yeah.
14, right? I was getting shit on by my friends and stuff. Like, oh, you fucking play video games? And I'm like, yeah, I play video games. And then now it's just like,
Yeah, now it's cool to be a streamer. It's
yep,
it's weird,
Totally, man.
but I think that's cool. I think that's like the coolest part about
Yeah.
collaboration is like just bringing in different crowds that you wouldn't expect. It's like the
Yeah.
whole like, especially all the bass artists that are bringing in like metal bands now, like Keizo with all of, like his collabs that he's doing with like the metal bands and punk rock bands. And
Yeah.
that's super cool because that's
Like
like
phase one
okay,
and shit like that.
yeah,
hmm
exactly. It's all super cool because it's like okay, I love punk rock and I like that. That was definitely a part of my life, and dubstep and this stuff's also a part of my life. But now they're bringing together. It's like wow, it's like a toast to my past and like the best about my present and like putting them together. It's really
right.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
absolutely love the genre blends too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's seamless. It's so good.
Electronic is like such a great place to kind of meet in the middle since it's I guess a lot easier to combine electronic with any other genre than it is to combine like two other genres. I
Right.
mean, now you have like the you have a lot of electronic with metal, a lot of electronic with like hip hop, and like I guess a lot more stuff just all over the board. So it's just kind of interesting to see how that works.
It's super cool, and I think it's funny. Like, um, at least for me, uh, the the world of like sound design and like uh, finding new sounds for whatever I'm doing and trying to push the envelope a little bit. It's funny that I'm now going back to like I want to get analog synths and like go back to like the 70s and 80s when they like
Right.
what they had,
Moog
and it's
synth,
like
everything.
it's
Yeah.
weird, but it's
Oh
cool
yeah.
because like it's bringing back in the character and like sound of that time, but like with keeping what I do now. Um, so that's the rabbit hole. That's what I've been spending all my unemployment money on. So you know,
Do you have any on hand? What do you have right
uh,
now?
synths wise,
Yep.
yeah. So I got let me see.
Yeah, just
My desk is kind of crazy. So
Ooh,
I got
oh,
the sub 37 by Moog, and
nice.
then that one down there is the Dave Smith's instrument OB6, and then I got some like bowls right here, and that's my modular synth right
That's fucking
there.
sick.
this is the ATLAST
That's the ATLAST
studio
studio, or the
studio,
studio
yeah.
as of right now. Yeah, yeah.
Super cool.
I moved back home for a little bit, back to San Francisco, just to kind of escape LA for
Oh yeah.
especially it's like a good time to do it too. It's like, okay, all my friends are gone, like might as well go back for a little bit.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so it's like little bedroom that my parents had that I just kind of like went into.
Yeah. What do your parents think about like what it is that you're doing now? Because
They've always been super supportive, like always. I think my dad always like, I'll get to my mom, but my dad's like always has really wanted me to do like music, like anything. Like if it was literally just like doing jingles for radio shows or whatever. Like yeah, I think he always thought that like it was like is like because I grew up and he's like, I want you to do like something that you love, right? And like I always love music, but I never really knew the trajectory I wanted to take it. Um, and I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston for
oh
the
yeah.
summer program they have between my junior and senior year of high school, and I went and it was super cool. Met some amazing people. But I took this electronic music course, and and it was like I was pretty much the teacher. Like it like not to sound big headed at all, but it was like the teacher was like using me as his assistant for the class because it was like an intro to electronic music, and I didn't know that when I signed up for it. Um, but then after that it was 5 weeks in Boston, and after that happened, he was like he pulled me aside the last day of school, and he was like, uh, you don't want to go here, like straight up, like the dude, like the teacher at Berkeley was like, you don't want to go here, like you're not gonna have fun, you're not gonna get anything out of it, like like the most you'll get out of it's the music theory, but you'll figure that out on your own anyways. Like over time you can figure that out. He's like, but I do know the school in LA, Icon Collective, so I went there. um but yeah, it's like I think my dad's always been super, I think he's always kind of known that like whatever I'm gonna do is gonna be creative and in the music space. um so he's been super supportive, and then my mom's also like, I think there's still a little bit of um I know she like believes in me super hard, and I know that's like that's how she thinks and like feels about it, but I think there's definitely still some like kind of like unknown with it, because it's still like it's not like everybody's trying to be a producer, or like, I mean, a lot of people are, but like it's not like, most of my friends are going to colleges to get their bachelor's degree and like work for somebody else, whereas for me it's like yeah, it's a little unknown for a while, but like, you know this is the big plan, and this is like what I want to do, and I think she really gets that now, which I'm super thankful for because a lot of my friends don't have that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like
But
I mean, it's really cool, like, because I know that there's definitely artists out there like whose parents don't understand at all, like, and they don't even bother trying. So, getting that, like, I guess getting your parents, I guess, a little bit on your side is definitely like a nice motivator. Definitely makes it a
Yeah,
lot easier
it's
to do what you do.
I think like, I have a lot of friends that don't have that support from their parents, and I think creatively they're always stuck in like producing for them and like trying to impress their parents instead of like impressing themselves or like making music for themselves. They're making music for like their parents or for their friends or whatever. And I think like I've been stuck in that trap, and it's terrible. It's like when you feel like you're producing for somebody else, um,
Yeah.
it's you're not making the stuff that's like, from here. You're making the stuff that's like, okay, like if I do this, then I'll get this and I'll get these friends. And if I get these friends, then, it's that kind of thinking, which it'll work for so long. But I think like if the people that are really doing well are the people that like eat, sleep, breathe, like shit music, like
Absolutely.
just like all the way through the spectrum. But yeah.
Yeah. Victor, you got a question or anything?
I actually do. So you said you went to Icon Collective. How was that experience like? Because a lot of artists or some artists that we have spoke to also have gone to Icon, and I just want to see maybe your input on it.
Yeah. So I moved down to LA. I'm 22 now. I moved down to LA when I was 17, and I went to Icon. I was like the youngest ever Icon member, which was really cool for like 2 weeks.
Right.
Um, and so I went there. And yeah, I think it was really cool. I have two ways of looking at it. Um, Personally, like when I'm thinking more about the creativity that I learned there or like got out of it, I think I learned more from my classmates and the people that like were surrounding the school and people that came in and talked rather than just the teachers and me. Um, I think I got more out of like there was all the time we'd have producer circles in in our apartment. We lived right across the street, and we had I lived with two other roommates, and we had the three bedrooms, so we had the biggest living room out of the whole building. So we'd have producer circles where like 30 producers would come over with their headphone and their laptop and sit in a giant circle in the room, and like we'd produce for 2 hours, and then uh everybody take their headphones off, unplug their headphones, and like show everybody and like go around and show everybody what they're working on, and do that for like days, like just like literally just going through stuff. And I learned more from that and like talking to people from that than like anything that I learned from school. But then also at the same time, I think I learned very like subjective technical things at school, that I still apply today and I don't really think about a lot. Like I think my quick answer is always like, oh, I didn't really learn that much there. But if I really like kind of dive back and think about it, I learned like a lot of the technical stuff that I know now. But like I think the biggest thing I got out of that place was how important for me it was to be around people to express myself. Because I've always before then I was always like, the producer at school, this like weird EDM kid, raving still wasn't at the time at my school wasn't cool or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Right.
and and I was always kind of like the outcast or whatever, and I would just be like kind of to myself and like making
So
stuff.
introverted, basically, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I always wanted to be super extrovert. And I really figured that out down at Icon. Like I'm a super introvert, but when like somebody gets me hyped about going out or like getting out of
Yeah.
my comfort, I'm extrovert as shit. Like
That's
I'm
how
like
I
I
am.
want to go out,
Yep.
like I want to go out, but I'm not gonna go like I'm not gonna sit here and go like, oh, I want to go to the beach today.
I
It's
feel
not like that.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm the
it's
same
like
way.
you want to go to the beach? Yes, I want to go to the beach. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I think that I learned that the most there. And I think also Art of Flow was one of my courses. I think it's one of the most sought after courses at Icon. And it's pretty much about like the flow you get into when you're making music and creating, and like what, because everybody's flow is different for themselves. And for me, I always have, it's kind of like learning what you have, like what inspires you, like what's like the first thing that like, where do you get your idea from? and I get asked this a lot. And my thing is, I always have a movie. Like I have 2 screens, and I work on the bottom screen and I have a top screen. Um, and I have a movie on muted. I usually, especially since the mid-tempo stuff, I was doing like all the sci-fi movies, Tron, and that kind of stuff, and all the cyberpunk movies.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. But I'd have it muted, and then I would kind of like write to the scenes, and like kind of like like a car chase would come up. It's like, okay, this is what's gonna happen in the car chase, and then I would turn the movie off, and I'd have all these ideas, and it's like, oh, cool, and then I would start building this song around each idea. I think that's the way that I figured out during art flow. I was like, okay, like I'm a very visual stimulus person, so I need to have something like grabbing my attention that I can like write around. And yeah, I think like that was my thing. But like my classmates were like, yeah, I have to like go outside and look at a tree. It's like, okay, I can't look at a tree and get music ideas. Like I just can't.
There's like different rituals for it, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's the coolest thing. Everybody has their way of doing it, which is really cool. So
Yeah, I mean that's all like subjective stuff, I guess, and it's really interesting to see like everybody's like different, I guess, perspectives.
yeah,
And just see how everybody takes it.
yeah. I mean, like like Subtronics smokes so much weed that I just I when I smoke weed, I'm useless. So like I tried it like at Icon. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to smoke some weed and like work on music. Then I just fall asleep on the couch. Like I'm that kind of person. But like some people, it just like they get in work mode, and it's like I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
yeah.
All right.
So what are you
had something
actually?
else to say. Yes, go.
I was gonna
I had
say,
something else
what
to
do
say and
you
I forgot.
like? What type of music have you been making the most recently? Because you did mention cyberpunk, and I wonder, are you excited for the game? Right? Because that 2077, is that the big inspiration?
Yeah. So there's been a lot recently. It's funny because I'm not really like making mid tempo anymore. Like
Right.
I love it, and I still play it at well, not anymore at shows,
Of course,
but
yeah.
during the DJ streams now. Um, I love playing it, and it's always going to be a part of my set because I love the sound. But I'm just not. I don't really get inspiration from it anymore, and like I don't really like. I have a certain amount, like my buddy JP Blank, like he does it
Right.
really well, and like I really like I love his music, so like I want him to do it, and like but I don't really find myself like itching to do it, and like express myself that way. But recently, it's been like a lot of melodic dub,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
kind of moving, not Millennium because he's more pop, but kind of like Seven Lions. That's kind of like the way that I've kind of been moving recently, and working on a side project that I can't talk about. But
Excited
so
for that, for sure.
super, yeah. So that's super exciting. Putting a lot of time into that. But yeah, it's just like working as much as I can on the melodic stuff. Got a lot of remixes and like official remixes coming out with that kind of stuff, and it's cool because I've been trying to figure out how to roll into that stuff for a while, and I've tried a couple ways and hasn't really worked, but I think I finally kind of got my way of doing it. So excited for that. But yeah, Cyberpunk, super excited for the game.
Right.
I was so torn when they had to move it to September or to October.
Yep.
September, October,
September. Yeah, September 17th.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
Dude, I'm gonna play the shit out of it.
Yep.
I just got a new graphics card for my PC, so I'm gonna run it full ultra graphics. Like, oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
I'm waiting. I've been dying.
Yeah.
So
were you one of the people that like saw the trailer back in like
absolutely, of
2012?
course. Yeah, I was like, I think I was. When did that come out? 2013, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
2013. I think end of 2013.
So I should have been 13 or maybe 14 at that time. I was so excited for it, and if you look back at the comments now, it's just like, "Hey, I saw this game when I was 13 or whatever, and now I'm like 32 and I have kids." It's just like, it's really funny, but
Bro, it's gonna be so good.
I'm excited. I've been watching the gameplay, and it's been a lot of inspiration for my music currently, right? So I'm super pumped for it.
It's gonna be so good. I mean, they did the Witcher series, and
Of course.
I've never played the Witcher series, but my old roommate, like, it was his favorite game
Fantastic.
ever. And, like, I watched a lot of the stuff that he was playing. It's a beautiful game.
Mhm.
So game series. So I'm really excited. I love those kind of games that like really bring you into a world, and especially like this, because it's like, okay, like I love cyberpunk.
Right.
Like in general, like the music,
Of course,
the
yeah.
fashion, the architecture, like everything, like boom,
Yeah. That's what's really driving me right now. I'm playing Deus Ex: Human Revolution,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
I'm like all in it. So, what kind of games are you playing if you're playing anything?
Dude, it's Call of Duty, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing in the EDM label wars this
Oh, yeah.
weekend.
Fuck
I don't know if
yeah.
you guys
You're
saw that.
presenting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm playing in the EDM.com team, which is pretty cool. Which is like, it was last minute. They were like, I was supposed to play in the Bygor one, but they got full.
Hmm.
So they were like, well, we could put you in EDM.com, and I was like, sure. But I just been playing a lot of that game.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know.
Warzone,
it's
maybe
fun.
multiplayer.
Playing with a lot of the DJs. Like, my squad right now is Borgor, Wooly, and like Bilos every once in a while is on,
Fuck
Black
yeah.
Sheep and all those kind of trap dudes. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
cool. It's like I never really thought that gaming would like bring me closer to like these bigger DJs, or like, and it's like now it's like I can call them like really good friends, because like we
Right.
play every single night for like weeks, for like past couple months. So
Yeah, I
Whole
mean, gaming
sessions.
is definitely like one of those things that could get people a lot closer together, which is like something that, I mean, I'm not really gonna talk about it on the show, but we're trying to get some stuff done to like do some cool, interesting projects, involving bringing like people closer together, I guess.
right,
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it later, but yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, especially nowadays, dude. Everybody's so torn apart, right
Right.
now.
Oh yeah.
But I feel
So,
like
I mean,
at
with
the same
work and everything,
time,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
they're super connected through Discord, through gaming. I think there's so many outlets that you can stay connected, right? Through text and stuff. I mean, in person, for me at least, I have like a social battery. I'm like, there's only enough time I can be around you until I get like, all right, I gotta go do my own thing, right? So
Right.
I think Discord allows me to stay on much longer, of course, and just like vibe and hang out with people. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, we have this some of my friends, like Vincent, the trap dude, and
Oh
like
yeah. I love
all those
Vincent.
guys. Like, yeah, super cool dude. He made like this like quarantine Discord, and like
Mhm.
we just have like all the homies in it, and we sit in Discord calls for like 9 hours, 10 hours straight, like at night, from like
Yeah.
7 p.m. until like 5 a.m.
Are you wine club?
and-
Are you in the wine
What?
club?
Oh,
No.
I'm not in the wine club. No,
Damn.
I haven't been on in that channel for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like it was super cool. Like, I think like that was a super good thing for a lot of people. Especially since I moved home too. It's like cool. Like, all my friends are home from college, but I can't see them. So
Right.
trying to
Oh,
figure out
yeah.
ways to like.
That's like the saddest thing. Like I have so many friends that like moved off to college, and I was like, oh man, I'm not really gonna get to see them anymore. And they moved back, and I was like, yay! But I cannot even go see them. And they're
Yep.
like,
We've been I went with my buddy Tristan the other day, and we went and to In-N-Out, and sat our cars 2 spaces apart, and we're like eating In-N-Out and talking to each other through the windows. And it was like okay, that kind of
Some
sucked,
fuck
but it was
shit.
really cool
Yeah.
at the same time. It was
Yeah.
like cool. Like, I actually got to hang out with somebody.
oh yeah. It's so weird. I live like a block away from like one of my best friends, and like I can't even go like say hi or anything. We can't hang out like at all. So
It's
that's
it's so rough.
dude, honestly.
So sad. It's just weird. And everybody's saying, so just accept the new normal, and I'm like, I don't want to accept this shit. It sucks.
Right.
Like, this is not going to be our
Yeah.
new normal. It's not going to be our. We're getting back to where we were. Like,
Right.
like in certain aspects, you know.
Would you say it's been
Yeah.
increasing your productivity though? Possibly, just like through music or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for me, um, I've been working a lot more on the visual front of my project,
Okay.
and like kind of figuring out where I want to take it visually,
Right.
and what I want to do with it, and especially with having, well, the help of the unemployment money, which is really cool, and I've just been like putting that all into like branding and like figuring out like stuff for like the project and like okay, I want to do a music video soon, so I got to figure out how to pay for it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's cool. I for music though, I haven't really been inspired. I don't know. I've been like I haven't really made a lot of new songs, like straight up new songs, but I've been going back to a lot of my old projects that I always like. I put them in a folder that's like always like it says check through, so it's like
Hmm.
kind of go through it and see what like I put it in there for a reason. Like I had some melody or something that was in there, and I've been going back through those and been getting such great results because like those are a year old, but I have a brand new production style and the way that I make my music now, and I go back and apply that to those songs and they pop. Um, so that's been what I've been up to on that front. But
Got it. And then in
Yeah.
yeah,
turn, go ahead.
No, you.
I was gonna say, in terms of just like music production itself, like how long does it usually take you to make a song, or just like is it like an instant process where you just like throw stuff down in a day, maybe a couple months? Like how's that?
yeah. For me, it's like a day or two. Um,
Got it.
from when like the inception of the idea in my head to like sent out to my manager for like, all right, figure out where this needs to go.
That's super
Uh,
cool.
and it didn't used to be like that. Like it's funny. Like during Icon, I remember Nightmare put out this remix for shit, uh, some like pop artist I think at the time. Oh no, it was RO Grime. It was the RO Grime Arcus remix of Nightmares. Um,
Oh
and
shit.
he put it out, and uh I remember in the description on SoundCloud he was like, this is I wrote this song in my hotel room overnight, and like I wanted to put it out for you guys, and I was like, oh, I was like, what, how does he write it overnight, like that's
Right,
crazy.
right.
And I got, because I at that time it was like it took me a week or two to even get like a idea down, because I think at the time I didn't really have an idea of like where I was as an artist. I was more I kind of just kind of like discover myself and try everything. And so I was doing so much that I was like I didn't really like know how to do certain things quickly and efficiently. But it's weird like looking back on that now and like going like, yeah, like I can get a couple songs done like in a week and like polished and done. And it's like looking back at that was only 3 years ago, which is crazy. So yeah, it's just weird. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it used to be just it used to be I think I was always fighting myself like, oh, this isn't going to be the one that's going to make me big. I had that in my mind for so long and it screwed me up so heavily. And once I kind of like rid that, I was just kind of like, I'm just going to make music for myself and see what happens. That's when like things actually started happening, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, having the idea that like it's going to go somewhere, it just like makes it worse when it eventually and likely doesn't go that way.
Right.
Because it's like, I mean, you can only like, I mean, just continuously like telling yourself it's gonna do something and then it doesn't end up going there. It just like, fucks with like, it just makes you kind of like second guess yourself.
Yeah, it screws you up. It screws you up mentally, and I have a lot of friends. I keep saying I have a lot of friends. I do have a lot of friends, but I have a lot of like I have a lot of friends that like have gone through the shit, um, and and it's hard. It's like I always tell them, I'm like, like you gotta figure this out for yourself. Like I'm not gonna be there to like always like kind of hold you and like make sure that everything's gonna be okay when you're making music. Like I have a couple friends that like really like depend on me to like get advice, and like if I say it's not good, or if I say like it needs work, then they get really depressed. And it's like I hate that. I don't like that weight on me. And so I've had to tell a couple of those people like, I can't be there for you, in that way. Um, but like also you shouldn't be putting that much pressure on yourself, because first of all, you're not going to come out with something that is really genuine to you. You're also not going to, you're also, if you put it out and it doesn't do well, then you're going to hate yourself and you're going to get depressed. So
Right.
like there's no reason to be like that.
Yeah.
But some people are just, they don't want to listen, so whatever. I try my best.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, you definitely shouldn't like hold somebody else's opinion in high regard just because like either they're really good at something or maybe it's like it's like maybe if I were to hold, because like maybe like I'm a really big fan of you, for example, and if like I were to hold your opinion in really high regard just because I really like your stuff, that's like not really a good way to think about it, because maybe that's just not with your taste either.
Right.
Right.
It's like because it's all like subjective stuff.
Yeah, I really like. I think it's funny that people on SoundCloud, especially because I think that's like one of the places where people comment about music, and you see a lot of people like, this isn't what Rez is, or isn't what Drezzo is supposed to, like, this isn't what Drezzo is. It's like, how do you know what Drezzo is? You only know what like has come out and what like at that time was what they were thinking.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
it's just weird. It's like how people think that because they're a fan, they know exactly how the artist is feeling at that current time.
Oh
Right.
yeah, it's so weird, and it's like, uh, I mean, it's so weird, like, because most of that, like, this is what this person is supposed to be. It just comes from like their first impression of the artist, and it's like now that it's not matching up with like what their first impression was, it's like supposed to be completely different. Like, I'm not sure if you know who Stonebank is,
Yeah, of
but
course.
yeah, the first song I think I ever heard of his was like more of his kind of like electro-y kind of stuff.
Right.
And then
The
like he
old
started,
Monster Cat stuff.
yeah, but then like, it was kind of and then like he started going into like the happy hardcore, and then like he released like a house track, and then he released like, and now he's going with like the more, heftier stuff. And it's more like you see all these people like this isn't what the Stonebank project is. I'm like, just let him
For
just let
real.
him
Yeah,
evolve. That it's like
yeah.
his taste.
That
You're
like
not Stone.
I think it's funny like that people like, this isn't what like this project is. It's like, okay, well, the shit changes so much. Like you look at anybody, even like
Yeah.
look at Skrillex. At the time, he loved like I think he still loves dubstep, but
Yeah.
like like he made the best dubstep. Now he's making like hip hop for people, and
Right.
like house music with boys noise and like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And like future bass technically. And I think like there's a lot of people like, whoa, like this isn't Skrillex. It's like, are you kidding me?
It
This is the
is.
best. This is the best representation of Skrillex because it shows that he's always been like about like that he's just gonna do what he loves.
Right. And it shows his
And
versatility too, for sure.
exactly, he's an artist. Like he can do anything. So
Yep.
like that
Yeah.
should be what it is, rather than like your art is mid tempo. So ATLAST is mid tempo, and if ATLAST isn't doing mid tempo, then I'm not gonna listen to him. I've
It's
gotten
not
a whole bunch.
ATLAST then
I've
at
gotten
that point. No.
whole bunch of those messages, and I'm
Stupid.
like, okay, cool, man. Go find another artist. Cool. Like whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get mad over one person or a couple people saying you're not doing
Yeah.
mid tempo anymore. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can care less.
It's like you're not doing mid tempo, so what? It's really it's your project, it's your decision. It's not exactly up to anybody else. It's like sure you might lose like some fans if you change genres, but it's like it's rather do the genre that you like making at the time rather than like forcing yourself to make something that you're
Yeah.
kind of like losing interest in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I don't really want to call it names, but I think there's a lot of artists, like especially in the mid tempo space, um, a couple of the bigger ones that have kind of gotten stuck and like they're so known for the certain sound, and when they try to put out something different, the people are like, no, like this is not, this is not it, but it's like they're trying to evolve the sound and trying to do more what they want to do, because it's like 1788 is not going to want to do mid tempo for forever, like that's
Right.
just, and you can see it, like he's done drum and bass, like he did that weird 7/4 and it's like it's cool, like it's a cool, but then you have all the people who are like, this isn't 1788, and
Who's
like,
just like who are you to say what I am or what my music
yeah,
stands
and
for?
it
Yeah.
sucks for him though, because it kind of built the project around that kind of stuff, like in a very like very smart way. But I think it's gonna take a little more time to kind of get out, because
Right.
it's like, when you think of that name, it's like, oh, yeah, like cyberpunk, it's
Mhm.
like straight up like that kind of music.
Right.
Um, but I think it's all possible. It's just you're always gonna have people that are gonna be against the move or the wave that you're trying to make.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I've been like recently this year I've been so like I've had like 30 songs in a demo folder that I've like just been sending around all these different labels, and or that my managers been sending around, and one of my probably like it's my favorite song I've ever made, um, and it's with my buddy Josh Rubin singing on it. Um, it's coming out. Well, so I made it January of 20 no December of 2018 to January of 2019. That's when I made it. And we've been like sitting on it since. And we sent it. We finally like got a whole bunch of demos done, so we wanted to send them out at the beginning of this year. And we got like responses from like some of my labels that I like really looked up to, and they're like, yeah, this isn't it. Our fans won't like it, and I really think your fans won't like it because you're more known for mid tempo. And I'm like,
The
what kind of
fuck?
response is that?
Yeah.
Like what do you mean? Like that's so screwed up. Like okay, cool, you don't like it to say that, but you don't have
Yeah.
to like it's a label saying that. Like I've heard people say that, but it's a label saying that. But it finally got signed to Proximity, so I'm really excited for it to come out.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's like
Proximity
it's
is
like
a great place too,
the
so
perfect home for it. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's just there's always going to be the people that are
Yeah. I
especially like
mean,
the
the labels that
people
you've worked
against it.
with now, they seem to be really good, like, as well. I mean, you just released a song on Lowly, I think, right? Like,
Yeah, I've
last week?
released 4 songs with them now.
Yeah.
2 last year, and then Closer was in February or January I think, and
Yeah.
then
Torch was, like,
Torch was
last
last
week.
week.
Right.
Yeah, and they've been great. Really cool guys. I mean, Andre, he's the owner of Trap Nation, and he's also the runner of the label, and super cool dude, and like love him to death, and supports me or supports me 100%. So I really appreciate that dude for giving me a shot. But yeah, I think like I've worked with a bunch of labels like Dimmock and Lowly and Parametric and Sony and a couple other ones, and it's like Dimmock, Sony, Parametric, and the other and a couple other ones, like the more like kind of radio and more mainstream ones. They're not as like they don't really want your song to do well. I don't know, like at the front end, like they just want to see the money, and so they'll like like are you gonna pay for the promotion? It's like, well, isn't that the whole reason I'm giving you 50%? You know,
Right.
isn't that the whole reason? Like, um, and but like Lowly, they've been amazing. Like because the coolest thing about them is like they have a Spotify playlist with 2.5 million followers because of Trap Nation. So they put your song in that and immediately does well. So um, it's there's a I think, and it's cool because it's kind of an artist by artist label, because Andre
Yeah.
is so just deeply in love with electronic music that it's like he
Yeah,
just
I've
wants to
seen,
see
like,
everything do well.
so many artists go through Lowly, like, in this past like, in just since, like, 2020 started. Like,
Yeah,
just so many more, artists that I love. Like, I mean, Grant, Madnap, and all these people just have now at least, like, released a little bit on there, so it's kinda neat for them to use for them to get, like, these, artists and to kinda bring their stuff, I guess, more out there.
yeah, I think it's cool. I think like wow, I fucking keep voice cracking. Uh, I I I I have I'm probably gonna have it till I'm like 80. I think I'm gonna have voice cracks until I'm 80. See, there you go. Um, but I do. Lily's been great. I think it's funny that because a couple years ago I was so in love with them and like all the artists that they were working at the time, because back then they were just Lowly Palace before it was Lowly. And all the artists I like looked up to, you know, Away and like those kind of guys that were like doing really eccentric music, but like it was doing really well. It just like it was cool because it was more of like a discovery label for me. I discovered a lot of artists from that label, and also just like it pushed my inspirations, just you know, sky high. But
Definitely.
it's I like that kind of stuff where it's more homey and about the music rather than like, oh, this isn't gonna do well. You know, your fans are whatever.
So yeah, it was more like corporatized and shit. And you have people that are
It's a guy that's never listened to an electronic music song and he's like, yeah, this isn't that good. It's like,
I mean, we've promoted pop music and stuff before, but like we don't know how your music's gonna be. It's stupid. So
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's messed up.
Totally. All right. How much time? What are we doing on time here? I'd say, oh, we got a little bit. Okay. I want to ask about live shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what were you doing? Like, when did you start doing them, and like, what have you been and I guess your transition from doing live stuff to now virtual stuff, virtually
Um.
live.
Yeah. So I did. So I did my first live show in LA was it was my first live show in general. My first live show in LA. It was for the Icon Collective like graduation ceremony or whatever, and it was so cringe. It was like me up on stage with my friend from my class and like playing like dubstep to all the parents that were just like, you know, and like didn't really get it. So that was my first show, and I was like, yeah, this is sick. Not really at all. But then I didn't really play shows for like a year, because I kind of after that I had my name, I had the ATLAST name, but I didn't really like have any music. I had like a couple remixes, but they didn't really do well, and I didn't really know kind of what I wanted to do with that project. So I started making house music, and got some label releases under that, and yeah, that really jump started everything. Like I started doing my first like real show was I opened up for Virtual Riot and Barely Live at Exchange.
Mm.
And that was really cool because like I was not like I was playing house. I was playing like bass house and house music. And it's like a dubstep show. And like they booked me they were like, we want you to play house. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna go well. Like I but everybody loves house. So like I was playing and the crowd was insane. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And it was so great. And the response was great. I got to meet both of them, Virtual Riot and Barely Live, and really cool guys. But yeah, it was just that was my first like very like okay, like this is what it's all about. Like that was the first, but I was at the time I was 18, or I was 19, and it's 21 plus club, and so the artist liaison comes over to me after my set. He goes, "Great job, man. All right, you ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he walks me outside, and I had to jump an Uber and go home.
no.
So
Oh yeah, that must be like the worst part about doing stuff like that, because it's
Some
I
bullshit.
mean, here in LA, it's like notorious for not having like all ages shows. It's always like it's usually 21 plus, and then otherwise maybe it's 18 plus, but it's never
yeah, well,
like
it's like
anything
weird.
below
Like
that.
Avalon is 19 plus.
Right?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
fuck?
That's like I always get mad about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
they have such good shows. Like, why not just I don't know, pick a number
Well,
that like
if they do 18, they're gonna get a lot more people. But the problem is, if they do 18, they're gonna get a lot of high school kids, and
Right.
they don't want that. So
That makes
it's like
sense. Yeah.
it's like the next step up. It's like super close, but
Still, it's yeah. It makes
it's just
sense, but
it's weird.
it makes
I mean,
sense.
yeah, 100% makes sense.
It could still be dumb if it makes sense though. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
it's dumb to people. Yeah.
maybe leave the front room to the kids, and like and the main room to 21 plus or something.
Right.
I don't know something, but yeah, I think yeah. So then after that, I was making house for like a year after that, putting out different labels, like I said, and I got approached by Space Yacht, and I always knew about Space Yacht going through Icon. Like everybody that went to Icon was like, "Oh, I'm going to Space Yacht on Tuesday," and I'm like, "Sick." I'm not because I'm not 21.
Right.
And so yeah, I was always just like bummed out. I was like, I was so close to get a fake Eddie. I never got a fake Eddie. I just never did it. I was always like, I always had like going back to being an introvert. I was always like, if somebody's gonna go, then I'll go with them. But especially with that, I was like always really wanted to go. So every Tuesday I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy a fake ID. I'm just gonna do it. Like, but I did that every single Tuesday for like 2 years straight. Not every single Tuesday, but like every single time I saw a show that was 20 plus, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get it. But I never did.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
And I don't know where I'd be without if I had one or not.
Right.
But I've had I like one of my buddies, like he was also underage and he played a show at Exchange, and he like played with a fake ID and he lied about his age on the contract and everything.
Shit.
And he got screwed over, like, and they never invited him back. He got blacklisted from all shows in LA, like just in general.
No
Like,
way.
and I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't do that,
Yeah.
Like,
That is painful.
yeah, so then I played a couple of Space Yacht shows, opened up for a couple of them, and then it got to a point where I was like, okay, I want to start like mixing my setup. Like I don't want to just do house music, and that's when I got into mid tempo. And then like a couple months in the mid tempo stuff, I opened up for Gammer at the Belasco, and it was easily before the Brownies show. It was easily my favorite show, or no, before the Brownies show or Nocturnal. It was my favorite show because the crowd was so hype. I was the opener and I wasn't expecting anybody to be there. I walked up on stage and it was sold out already. It was like packed, fully packed to capacity. And I played my stuff and it was so well received that I was like, okay, like this is really cool.
I mean, you're also like a really good person to see live. Like, I mean,
thank you, man.
yeah. I mean, the show I met you at first was like, it was the Reaper show that got canceled. That got shut down.
The Brownie show. Yeah.
I took a photo with you, and you were like, this was like, I think this was before you like noticed the whole "It's Pizza Time" thing, but like I was like, yeah.
Well,
cool.
it was fun. No, it was because Rob Vincent was like, oh yeah, you saw the Pizza Time guy. He took a photo with you, yeah, and I was like, oh, I was like, whoa, that's all my worlds colliding. Like, whoa.
You were like, besides I guess Reaper, you were probably like next from Reaper, you were definitely the one that I was most excited to see, because like I definitely like heard some of your shit and I was like, dude, this would probably be like kill live, and like, I mean, to no surprise, you did. So I was like,
fucking CDJs fucked up twice. So mad. I was so mad. I was like, good, of course.
That night went wrong in every possible way.
Dude, I really wish I was Conrad or something. I really wish I was him. Like, I would have got my set cut off, but bro, I would have got my videographer to get me get a video of me getting took out in handcuffs. Are you kidding me? That would have been the coolest promo video, because he got taken off the stage in handcuffs. Like that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah, and his videographer has the whole thing on camera, like him walking out and like they go out and everybody's yelling, "Oh, fuck you," and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yelling at the cops. I'm like, that would be a sick promo video.
That, and to make a song out of that too.
Right? But yeah, that was a really cool show. But yeah, between that one, the Belasco, and the Nocturnal, I played the art cart Nocturnal. That was my first festival by Insomniac too. I've never been to ETC or any of those Insomniac festivals before. I always like, I think a lot of DJs and producers have the same idea in mind. Like I don't want to go until I play. And that was it for Nocturnal. And I played the art cart, and it was like in the middle of the day. I wasn't expecting anybody to be there, and it was like packed. Like we had like the guy before me had like 200 people, so that was a good amount to start with. But by the end of my set, I had like 800, 900 people there. Damn. And it was like, that was really cool. And it was like, I was like, okay, cool, like I did something right. And it was just also like, it was my first time at a festival. It was an outdoor stage, not being in a dark club. And yeah, it was, and I got to bring like 4 of my really good friends that never been to a festival like that before, and I had never been to a festival like that before, and it was like cool. Like I get to like they gave me a hotel with like multiple beds, so like I got to bring all my homies, and like we just like you know they sent us a shuttle from the hotel to the grounds, and it was great. They also had a one wheel, there's like a electric skateboards with the one wheel
Oh
in the
yeah,
middle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So I
dude,
actually
I've always wanted one of those.
I actually just bought one. Like I have one downstairs. Like
Mhm.
I was like, you know what, quarantine, I'm gonna get out more. I'm gonna buy one of those things. But yeah, so they had two of those in the artist compound that anybody could use. And so I jumped on one. I was like, this is sick. And I'm like zipping around the artist compound, and people's like having drinks, and I'm like, people are like, doing drugs and like having drinks and stuff. And I'm just there sipping around on the one wheel with some freedom,
Yeah.
just like going around. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was, yeah, that was my first like big, open experience of like what the music industry is, like all the moving parts, like walking behind the stages and like, oh yeah, the fire that comes up on the stage, like, oh yeah, there's like five guys controlling all that stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like so many people, stage crew, and people, artist liaison, they're taking people to stages through all these different back entrances, and yeah, it's super cool.
Totally.
Got to see some people try to jump over the fence and get tased. That was pretty cool. Um, these dudes, we're in the artist golf cart, and like we're going to like the stage that I played on, and my videographer got the end of it on camera. He's like, oh my god, he like pulled it out, and it got right at the end. This guy's like running through the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna try to jump the fence. And of course, 5 seconds after I say that, he jumps the fence, and then you see 4 security guards like coming up, and they tased him.
Damn.
He like jumped off the fence, was like, ah, like, I'm sorry, and they walked him away.
I mean,
oh.
it makes sense because you know how dangerous that stuff is too. Like especially with artists, you never know their intentions for sure. Like they might be super fans, like some crazy shit. Like they might be nice people, they want to come in, but like, come on.
They might be on some drug or something, and they're just
Sure.
like, they don't know that they're jumping a fence.
True. That's
like,
true. Yeah.
But yeah. To answer your question for like moving into virtual shows, I think it's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be weird because I feel like at a show, especially like I think the Brownie show, I was very more open about it, like being close to the crowd and very like like sentimental with it. Like, okay, like these people are here like to have a good time, and like I'm gonna have a good time. And if I show that I'm having a really good time, people are gonna have a
right.
That's like the hard thing about like streams. It's like you don't really know what people are doing. It's
Right.
like
You don't
all
see
you see is
them.
the chat.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, this is great. It's like, is it great, or is it great? Like that kind of. But at a show, you can tell that, and you can like vibe off of that energy. And so for me, it's like it's been harder to kind of do and I've done 2 music festivals so far. Like I did one inside Minecraft, and then
Blockley.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of people, and they had problems with it, but I was like, wow, like my music's inside Minecraft. That's pretty cool.
Right.
I'm DJing inside Minecraft. That's pretty sick. But yeah, I think the main thing for me that's gonna be weird for a while is the vibe and like kind of getting my energy off of other people.
Right. Connecting to people too, for sure.
Connecting to people, like the coolest part about doing shows is like, after is like going up and talking with you and talking with so many different people, like, hey, your set was amazing. And it's like, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. And then we get into a rabbit hole of music or something. And it's like, I love that. I love doing that stuff. Like that night I was super sweaty. That's why I went up really quick. And I was just kind of like, yeah, what's up? And I kind of went up because I was so sweaty and just like hot. I had to run upstairs and get like a whole bunch of water and then come back down. And then I had to pee like a fucking stallion. And yeah, but but yeah, I think the connection is very important.
Right.
Because it makes me happy when somebody else is very stoked on the set, because it makes me like, okay, like I did something right. But I was just I was myself, and that the fact that somebody else is resonating so much with the fact that I'm just doing me, like that's really cool. And that's the hard thing with virtual shows. It's like, I think until like the only way you'd be able to really do it is like if you did a Zoom show. But the problem with doing a Zoom show is everybody's delayed like, half a second or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just like yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just there you go. Welcome to the rave.
With all that, I'd say like we're reaching the end of our time for this
Yeah.
episode. So,
Mhm.
is there any like last parting words you wanna say? Or?
Yeah, sure. I guess like for music stuff, I got a lot of music coming. June 24th. I haven't announced this yet, so this is a sneak peek. But June 24th, I'm dropping my song "Fracture" with Josh Rubin on Proximity. I got like 4 releases in the middle of that between now and then. So definitely look out for those. There's like a couple remixes and stuff. And then we're working on doing an EP with Never Say Die. So hoping that happens.
Ooh.
That'd be hype.
And yeah, just if you guys want to stay connected with me, my handle everywhere is
Yeah.
it's ATLAST.
Here's the plugs.
and yeah, I'm always down to talk and talk through anything. But I appreciate you guys having me on. That was really fun.
Fuck yeah! Thank you
course.
for coming on.
All of ATLAST stuff is gonna be like in the description of everything. Then so is everything for the podcast. You'll find like more episodes and shit. And then all of I guess our personal links will be in there as well. I guess otherwise than that, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. Thank you ATLAST for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
All right, awesome. All right, later everyone.
Peace.